Hello, very warm welcome to everybody to today's 1.1 Oneness meditation session. My name is Matthew, and it's my pleasure to be with you as a host today. And today I have the pleasure in introducing my good friend and colleague, Rajesh Patel. And Rajesh has a master's in engineering and works at Onepoint as head of information security and service delivery. Through his work in managed services, he has seen how much clients appreciate a value-based approach. A student and daily practitioner of Raj Yoga meditation with 30 years experience, Rajesh is involved in various charity projects and through talks and workshops demonstrates in a logical and straightforward way how to balance a spiritual life in a material world. Rajesh also has a keen interest in nutrition and the holistic mind, body, spirit model for self-development and general wellness. Rajesh is also a keen walker and recently completed the West Highland Way in Scotland, which is over 100 miles hiking in just 4 days. So pretty strong effort there, Rajesh. And today I understand you're going to be talking to us on the topic of building resilience for mental fitness.
Thank you, Matthew. Yes. So as you said, my background is in engineering. And as an engineer, we take ideas and we implement them. We make them practical. So, we get lots of people coming with very clever ideas, wonderful ideas. But when it comes to making it happen, you need an engineer. And so the core principle in engineering is to make sure that you have a solid foundation. And so I want to explore a number of tips, tricks, and techniques that I've developed over the years to help build resilience for mental fitness. And so the challenges that we all face today, they're too numerous to go into, but there is things happening next door, there's things happening in the country, there's things happening globally. So, it's always a challenge to keep your sanity and really feel that you have some measure of control over your life. So if you look at the principles of engineering, a really famous engineer in the UK is Brunel. So Isambard Brunel in the 1800s, he pioneered two things that are still standing today. One is the Thames Tunnel. That was the first subsoil underground tunnel, so it's underwater and in soft soil. So this was a marvel of engineering and it's still being used today. And the other one is the Clifton Suspension Bridge in Bristol, and that's 150 years old. It's in daily use 24/7. So you imagine, coming up with an idea and then implementing it, and then it's still going all these years later. So similarly, I have explored in my personal life and professional life ways to build resilience. And so through the practice of meditation, I have come across a number of routines and tips that I use to build this resilience. So let's explore some of these concepts. So the first principle one is mental agility and mental space. So if you imagine when you're waiting for a bus, as you may, or the tube when they're not on strike, you feel like, the one that you want is either just gone or you're waiting for the next one. And then you see 3 or 4 come along, but you can't get on them. So you're getting frustrated because buses are coming, but you haven't got the right one. And in the same way, when your thoughts are non-stop and you haven't got the right thought, it's hard to focus. So you might think that, okay, I've got good mental strength, but you're not aware of how much other noise is happening, either in the background or the foreground or around you. And so let's just take a very simple step. Just take a deep breath. So just this very, very simple principle of taking a deep breath consciously. So again, just put your hand on your heart. Just this very basic tip, which was suggested to me by a friend of mine who is living in what I would best describe as a war zone. And he developed this technique to tune in very quickly in literally the touch of a heartbeat to check in and get a pulse of where I am. And so just connecting with a deep breath, and letting go. So this one very simple breathing exercise allows us to immediately connect the mind and the body with a thought, just a simple act of breathing. And so whenever I need a pause or a gap, whenever I'm feeling maxed out, as people say, take 5, take 10, and just take a deep breath. And just this conscious act, putting your hand on the heart or on the stomach, just to feel that breath. Deep breath in. And in the act of that, letting go of this breath, consciously, I take in this energy. I just say this one word, peace. And with this awareness, mindful connection with the word peace, you emotionally connect with it. You connect with it at a vibrational level, which means that you resonate with that. And again, resonance is a very interesting principle in engineering. When you have resonance and you handle it in the right way, it creates a very powerful and positive effect. If you use it or you don't use it and you're not aware of the resonance effect, you may have seen a famous picture, I think it was in San Francisco, where this bridge started really oscillating in very weird ways, and then it fell apart because the principle of resonance hadn't been taken into account in the design. So as an engineer, when we go through life, if we're not in tune with the body and my mental awareness in space, then I'll be out of touch, out of sync with not only myself, but people around me, whether it's at work or at home, and then things just don't feel right. And things may even get to the point where no matter what I do, things fall apart. So just this one exercise. Deep breath in. I am peace. This one 3-word exercise, going deep, deep, deep into this experience of peace, and using the silence in between the words and the breathing, you consciously bring awareness and mindfulness into your inner space, and then you create an energy, the vibration of peace, that allows you to then go into that experience. And so meditation for me has always been the practical application of the theory. And so theory says, when we have an idea and we can bring that idea into reality, then something appears. And that's what happens in life. Every single thing that you see with your eyes in front of you, it's been created from an idea, a concept, and then somebody went away and built it. And so mentally, creating mental resilience is the same thing. You would need to practice and apply simple principles like this one exercise: mindful, conscious breathing, creating and manifesting the energy of peace, first of all within, and then as I grow in that experience, in that awareness, I'm able to then create the energy of peace and spread it around. And you can develop this in a very, very powerful way, in a way that you resonate with everybody around you. And not only that, you can influence people without them being aware. And a very good example of this is my spiritual mentor, Dadi Janki. Whenever she came to the airport, if I had the opportunity, I'd go and greet her. And it was uncanny. She was in her 90 plus at that time, then she lived to 100 plus. She'd be in a wheelchair. And as the wheelchair rolled across the airport, you'd just see and feel this wave of silence, in her wake. Absolutely amazing. So that's spiritual power. And as an engineer, we have ideas and we can put this into practice, and that's what I want to share with you. So developing resilience through the simple practice of mindful awareness and putting time and effort into it on a daily basis, is the first step. Some other areas that I've explored is, as Matthew said, nutrition. Currently, I've been experimenting with fasting. So I started off on a 5-day, 10-day fast. And then currently I'm doing what's known as intermittent fasting. And what that does is it creates space within the body for the body to repair. So if you have a set window of 8 hours within which you have your main meals, I typically have like a fruit type light snack at about 11, try and have my main meal between 12 and 4, and then really not try anything after 6. So I might have a snack, but not really later than 7 or 8 at the most, but really not after 6. So then what you're doing is you're giving this really huge gap for the body to then process whatever's in the body. And so then it automatically and naturally sorts itself out. And so with this brings you a higher level of energy. So if you've ever felt, for example, if you're really, really tired, you go to bed late and you wake up, but you know what, you're feeling energized, you're feeling motivated. Or you might go to bed really early because you're tired, but when you wake up, you're just as tired. So what's going on there? And what's happening is that the mind hasn't switched off. Or worse, if you've had a late night snack or even worse, a heavy meal, then that's still being processed, digested, and so you're not able to get the quality of sleep that you need. So your mental resilience, the foundation blocks are simple practice of mindfulness, very good nutrition, so a simple, light, I basically have mainly plant-based. I gave up eating meat and all that kind of stuff, well, several decades ago, for my optimum health. And then breathing, and finally water. So the quality of water and making sure you're getting enough hydration, again, is a key thing. So good quality food, good quality rest, good quality water, and enough of these 3 basic things will create an amazing mental acuity and also a feeling that you have the energy you need to go through the day and face the problems. Now, one other area is the process of healing. So one of the things that is quite controversial is we have an expression that says that being sick or ill, when you are ill, when you're sick, be happy. Okay, well, what does that mean? Because if you think about these 2 things, when somebody's ill, when somebody's sick, being happy isn't what comes to mind. But I've been through a number of major illnesses, and in that experience, through my practice of meditation, what I've felt is that going through that illness has been a benefit for me. And so I've treated it as a natural part of the cycle of the body going through healing. And so not that I welcome it, but I have this mindset, if I do get ill, then the body is doing what it needs to do. And so if I appreciate that, and again, this whole feeling of gratitude that the body is doing everything it can, and trust the body to do what it needs to, and just give it lots of love and care, then it will sort itself out and not feel, I really feel bad, or I'm really sick. And this mindset of creating a spiral where you really just talk yourself into a much more depressive state and a feeling of helplessness. And this self-talk can apply to all sorts of things. So another area which I've explored is in relationships. So I've been through different jobs. I've been made redundant 3 or 4 times. And the first time it happened, I was devastated. And I was thinking, do the people not like me, or is there something wrong with me? Am I not good enough? And all of these kind of things. And what I realized the second or third time was that life was bringing me to learn a lesson, a valuable lesson. And that is that I haven't really changed. I've put in everything that I can. And the way it worked out is that people around me supported me incredibly well. And so if I trust that, people are wanting the best for me, then by developing this resilience of saying, yeah, I'm okay, then you're allowing what needs to happen to unfold. And my mentor suggested something called the elephant skin. So we always think of elephants as really big and tough creatures, and their skin can be, you know, an inch or two thick. But surprisingly, they can feel a fly landing on that skin. So the two sides being tough, so it protects you, but equally being sensitive. So in relationships, when you trust people around you, when you empathize with them and you want the best for them, they will respond in kind. And the ones that have their own sort of story going on, so for whatever reason, they may not like you or they may treat you ill. You know, another lesson that we very focus on is always make sure that you don't take sorrow. So we're very good at, you know, if you hurt somebody, if you accidentally step on somebody's toes, you say, oh, sorry. Yeah, if somebody in England, if somebody runs into you, you know, you apologize, you know, but we need to learn to accept that some things are just meant to be and not take on sorrow or suffering. And whatever's happening in people's lives, we empathize, but we don't need to take on their suffering because that doesn't help anybody. So I call that the lifeguard principle. So as a lifeguard, you know, one of the first things they're taught, and again, I've not practiced this myself, but I believe is you have to go to the extent that you may need to physically knock the person out. Otherwise, you can't do the job of saving that person, let alone yourself. So the lifeguard principle is do not take on sorrow. And so this concept, never cry, equates to there's no reason for you to take on somebody's sorrow. So if the world is as we see in dire straits, by bringing mental resilience, building blocks, creating this vibration of peace and spreading it around you, then you're actually creating a really positive healing effect, bringing that not just people's lives, but also for the earth. So Mother Nature is best served when we heal ourselves, heal the people around us, and that automatically creates a mindful awareness of using less resources and not really, as it was, abusing things, people, and nature. So these are some of the building blocks that as an engineer, I've analyzed, I've practiced, I've experimented, and they've been very useful for me. So hopefully it makes sense. And if it doesn't, you know, things like being happy when you're ill, you know, just experiment with it, see what other people are doing. I've talked to long-term, somebody who's gone through cancer multiple times, and it's amazing that her life journey has been very different to mine, going through lots of cancer and healing and therapy, whereas I've been through a meditation track all my life. But we agree on so many views and concur on the way that we look at the world. So these kind of really life-changing experiences can and do help us to get to this point, which builds this mental resilience. And to help you along, I started with meditation commentaries. When I first started meditating, I could not for the life of me meditate without having a commentary tape running. So I would suggest we have some apps on the website, like the B-Zone app or Happy Dote, and just pick up something that resonates with you using that whole principle of resonance. So something that touches you, that feels great. And then work with that, just be very gentle, very patient. First thing when you wake up, or last thing before you go to bed. And then one final tip, at the beginning of lockdown, I switched off all media. Shocking, right? So no news, I don't have a TV, don't watch TV, but no news, not even on the internet. And it has made a qualitative difference in my life. So I've realized that, you know, the external influences can have a very deep impact and you're not even aware of the depth to which you are agitated because what you see in the world today, especially from people in positions of authority, can really drive you nuts. So, you know, again, this aspect of the lifeguard principle, do not take on sorrow, but you can make a difference. Thank you. Let's have a little practice. Deep breath in. And just that simple mechanical motion. Just hand on your heart. I am okay. Just that awareness. And then with a deep, deep sense that you recognize that peace is innate. We are born whole and complete. If you look at any newborn baby, unless it's hungry, tired, or thirsty, it's smiling, and that smile just uplifts us. That's who we are. Beings whole and complete. So again, I am peace. Just go into that depth and awareness of being, living, breathing, and spreading peace. I am peace. To stay in that space as long as you can. Enjoy it, breathe it, live it, own it. And when you're ready, as you breathe out, send that energy, that vibration of peace into the world. Hopefully, this will be of some value in your daily busy lives. Just take that moment, go deep within, whenever and wherever you can, and create that spark of well-being within you, and then share it with the world. Thank you. Om Shanti. I am a being of peace. And namaste.
So thank you very much, Rajesh, for that wonderful insights into building resilience, and was particularly enjoying your comparisons of engineering principles, resilience and resonance, and how that is a very, very good analogy also for the mind, in terms of if we're not resonating with the right sort of thoughts, peaceful thoughts, if we're not building that resilience, then we're going to run into problems, and those problems manifesting as suffering and sorrow in our lives. So thank you very much for sharing that, and that beautiful meditation experience too. So we both come across this in teaching meditation, that people new to it, often you hear the fact, if you ask someone, do you meditate now, or have you meditated in the past, people will say, well, yeah, I tried, but I can't concentrate, and I think there's something wrong with my mind, that I just don't seem to be the sort of person that can meditate. But we know it's possible for anyone, right, to learn and practice meditation. So I was just wondering, in your early years, because you've been practicing for a long time, no doubt you faced challenges in establishing this new habit of meditation. And you said you used guided meditations to support you. But do you have any other tips in terms of maybe how often in the day, whether it's good to start off with shorter meditations? Is there a particular time of day that you find meditation is more effective? There's some things like that maybe you can share.
So everybody's unique, and for me, early mornings when it's really dead quiet works well. I also love visiting churches and graveyards, because literally the silence of the dead is very, very powerful. Buildings where there has been worship have a lot of power, and so finding that quiet spot in your neighborhood, whether it's the park, the church, the graveyard, where you have this power of silence built up over many decades, it will immediately bring you into that space. And then what you want to do at home is to find a corner. It can literally be a spot on the sofa, and you want to get away from all of the electronic stuff that you may have. So create a space where there's no electronic disturbances as best as you can. And then always sit in that space. And so what you're now creating is a mind and body connection. So again, in the principles of resilience, you need to use all the tools you can. So when I started, I always needed the tape, and it was always the same commentary. And so without that commentary, it was like I was lost. But you get to a point where once you've got that established, it becomes limiting. And then you're ready to explore on your own. And so you get to the point where now, if you have a meditation commentary, you actually find it annoying because you think, okay, now that's trying to limit me when I can go and explore a whole wide world. But in the beginning, just creating a very safe space where you feel at ease in your home and doing first thing in the morning or last thing at night, or like when you come home and you have a cup of tea and then that's your moment of just relaxation, just for a few minutes, go into that space. Use the apps we have. They're brilliant because you got 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, so you can build up. And then use that. And of course, as I said, we have meditation centers in many places. There are other quiet spaces in many cities. So you can go to a designated quiet space where, again, you'll find that power, because it's been accumulated by different people over time, and that those spaces have their own strengths. So you can use that as well. So don't be shy to use whatever is available. That's my principle.
Okay, no, those are some really useful tips, and I can certainly resonate with some of those. In my early days as well, found the guided meditations really useful. Although sort of making me think how long ago it was, because there wasn't so much on the internet. It was more having to buy CDs and do that. But as you say, now we're very lucky because on the onepointlimited.com website, on the oneness section there, there's access. You mentioned the Happy Dote, which is a combination of happiness and antidote, which was an app developed initially for the NHS, the medical communities, to support them. But actually the meditations on there, as you said, are helpful for anyone. And we have the other one you mentioned, B-Zone, which has lots of different facilities on it. Also the facility to set a reminder so that you can remind yourself every hour or however frequently you want to just take a step back in the day and practice some meditation. So particularly like those tips you shared about those, but also this idea of creating a space in your own home. I know that's really valuable. And like you said, even if it's just a small space in a corner of a room somewhere, because very few people these days have the space to allocate a whole room. But just if it's somewhere you go where you're repeatedly going to perform meditation, it's amazing how that space can build up an energy of peace, isn't it? Really good tips there. So, yep, thank you very much, Rajesh, for joining us today, for being with us, and I'd like to thank everyone in the audience for watching today, or of course if you're watching on recording as well, that's just as valuable. As you know, we have a whole library of recordings which you can access on the Oneness section of our website or on YouTube, and please do share these wonderful recordings with your friends and family, because a lot of people maybe you haven't explored meditation or haven't quite come across the right tools yet, could find something very valuable in there. So wishing you a great rest of the day and great weekend ahead. And our next session will be on a couple of weeks, Friday again, at 9 o'clock in the morning, and that is on the 8th of August. So look forward to welcoming you back then. In the meantime, take care, and see you again soon.